Hello guys, today we are going to talk about decimal numbers. Then a number like this is in decimal notation. A number written in decimal notation is often called simply a decimal or decimal number. A number written in decimal notation has three parts. Okay, this part is the whole part. This is the decimal point and this one is the decimal part. The decimal part of the number represents a number less than 1. Then, for example, in here, 78 represents less than 1. If this is a price for a shoes, for example, then the shoes cost $21.78. Then 78 represents less than $1. Okay? Then the position of a digit in decimal determines the digit's place value. Then for here, to explain this is important, remember the place value. Here we have this picture that helps us a lot to understand a place value chart. Okay, then for example, let's analyze some numbers. For example, 3 here, 5, 1 point there, obviously, 3, 7, and 8, for example. Then we have to read this number like this: 351, and the word "and" replaces the point, or is indicating that we have to write the point. Okay, then 351 and 378 thousandths. We finished the pronunciation with the word, with the name of the place value of the last number. Then in this case, the number 8 is in thousandths position. Then we call the 9, or we finish the pronunciation of the number by that word. Okay, then if we have to read a decimal number, this is going to be really important. Okay, then each number in the place value chart has a special meaning. Then, for example, I told you already, number 8 represents the thousandths part. Okay, number 7 the hundredths, number 3, for example, the tenths, and on left of the decimal point represent also something. Then this 3 represent 100, the 5 represent tenths, and this represent ones. Okay, let's keep this information in mind. Now, relationship between fractions and decimals. Okay, when the whole part of a decimal number is 0. Okay, for example, let's keep in mind this decimal. Okay, 0.8. 0.8 is the informal pronunciation. The real pronunciation must be 0 and 8 tenths. Or also, just when 0 is the whole part, we can pronounce just 8 tenths. Okay, just when 0 is the whole part. Okay, if the whole part is different to 0, for example this, then we have to pronounce 1 and 3 tenths. Okay, but when 0 is the whole part, we can pronounce just the decimal part. Then 8 tenths. 8 tenths. But I'm pretty sure that you can recognize that also the same pronunciation can be represented in fraction form as 8 tenths. Then there is a relation between decimals and fractions. For example, another situation, this. This number can be pronounced, because the whole part is 0, can be pronounced as 5 hundredths. 5 hundredths. But in a fraction way, in the fraction representation is 5 hundredths. Okay, then the last example to analyze the relationship between fractions and decimals. Let's check this decimal number. Okay, the pronunciation for this number is 3 thousandths, and in fraction way, in fraction form, is 3 thousandths. exactly the same pronunciation is that is because there is a relationship between fractions and decimals. Okay, now let's talk about write decimals in a standard form and in words. Then if we have to write a decimal in words, then keep in mind that we have to pronounce the number on right of the decimal point normal. To pronounce the point we said and then we have to pronounce the number at right of the decimal point, and finally pronounce the position of the last number. Okay, then to explain this, I think it's good idea come back here to this graphic representation. Then let me erase here in order to provide another exercise, another example. Okay, then for example, the standard form to this number, of course, is the numbers. Then, for example, okay, the numbers is the standard form. Now in words, then this number is 516, and remember that and is to replace to refers to the decimal point, and 273 thousands, because that's the position for number 3000s. Okay, then keep that information in mind. Okay, then let's analyze another example here. For example, this number. Okay, then this number can be written as 0 and 7,634 10,000s, because that's the position in the place value chart for the last number here. Okay, 0 and, or remember that when 0 is the first number, we can just say 7,634 10,000s, because that's the position for the last number. Okay, really simple. Another example, for example, this 35 and 5/10. 35 and 5/10. Okay, now if we have to identify the order relation between two decimals, this information is going to be really important for you. Then first we have to write the numbers. Then remember this: to compare two decimals, write the decimals and compare value by value or position by position. Then, for example, 358, this, and the other number is okay. We have to determine which one is greater or smaller, depending on the instructions. Then let's start comparing position by position. Then this 3 is the position is the hundredths. Okay, then it's the same. Then for now we cannot determine which one is greater. Next position, this one and this is the tens, and the number is exactly the same. Then for now we can't determine which one is greater. The ones exactly the same. Okay, decimal point, then continue comparing. This one over here is in the tenths section for the decimal part. It's exactly the same. Now next one, 3 and 0. That position is for hundredths. Now we can know that 3 is greater than 0 in that position. That's why this number is greater than this number over here. Okay, then 25 order relation, compare number by number. When you find the difference, which number is greater, then that number is greater. Okay, now to round a decimal to a given place value. Okay, then in general, rounding decimal is similar to rounding whole numbers, except that the digits to the right of the given place value are dropped instead of being replaced by zeros. That happen in whole numbers. Okay, then let's analyze this case. For example, the number the number 5.923 and 7. Okay, let's suppose that you have to round to the nearest hundredths. Okay, then where's the nearest hundredths? The decimal part is this number. Okay, then to round to this number we have to be focusing the next number, the number at right here. Okay, in this case 3. Now check the criteria. If the digit to the right, in this case 3, is less than 5, the digit on left, in other words 2, are dropped. Okay, then you have to keep the same. Then the nearest, the number rounded to the nearest 100, in this case is going to be 5.92. Exactly the same. They have to keep the same number because this 3 is less than 5. But let's analyze this case. Now, one more time, we have to round this number to the nearest hundredth. Okay? To the nearest hundredth is this position, 2, one more time. But now the number at right is 5, is equals to 5. Then the number round to the nearest hundredth, in this case is going to be 5.93, increasing by 1. Okay? Then this is one case, and this is the other case. When we have to round to a given place value, then you have to, of course, keep in mind the number in the place value, the given place value, and the next number, the number at right. If that number at right is less than 5, the number on left, number in the given place value, is exactly the same. But if it's equals to 5 or greater than 5, the number in the given place value must be increased by 1. Okay, that's all. Now, also, it's important to remember that we can solve application or analyze applications using decimal numbers. Then, for example, let's check this word problem. On average, a Colombian goes to the cinema 3 and 56 hundredths. Okay, 3 and 56 hundredths times per year. To the nearest whole number, how many times does a Colombian go to the cinema per year? Then the fraction or the decimal number here is 3 and 56 hundredths. Okay, if we have to round to the nearest whole number, then we have to be focusing the whole number is this, just ones. We have just the position is ones. And let's check the number at right, that in this case is the tenths in the decimal part. Then that number at right, and in this case is 5, is equal or greater than 5, then we have to increase by 1 the number in the given position or in the given place value. Okay, in this case that happened. Then the number rounded to the nearest whole number is 4 in this case. Why? Because the number at right is equal or greater than 5, then you have to increase that number by 1. Okay, this is one word problem. Now guys, that's all. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.